And I particularly want to talk about what is it that we're doing, because we must be doing it because we think that something will happen, and what is the thing that we hope will happen. And I want particularly to talk about why what we're doing is Jewish. And, well, maybe this is the way I want to say it. On those opportunities when I have, on those days in which I have the opportunity to lead morning prayers in my shul, the most thrilling part of leading, I think, is the first statement that the prayer leader makes out loud. It's like having the whole community witness me saying, Hareini mikabelet alai mitzvot haborei ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha. I take upon myself the commandment of the Creator to love my neighbor as myself. I find that thrilling to say that all of the prayers that we do and all of the practices that we do are in behalf of being able to cultivate that mind and heart that is able universally to love. We say that a lot when we more frequently, I think we say the phrase, Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Not just your neighbor across the fence, which is generally not hard because most of the time we choose to live next to people that we like, but your neighbor across the world and your neighbor in a country that is in a strategically opposite place to your country, or your neighbor that you personally had some difficulty with. To love universally, unequivocally. I think it's an act of, if I think about it, if I could do it, it would really be recognizing the preciousness of life. I think we recognize that each time we recall, when we say Kiddush on Shabbat, we recall the miracle of creation. This is God's world, and every being in it needs to be precious. And to be able to have that mind state and that heart state that could recognize that the ultimate perfection of human beings in the image of God would be to care for. That's maybe a better word than love. Love is such a peculiar word because it really doesn't mean to like everyone equally, because I don't like everyone equally. And I think everybody isn't equally likable, but to care about everyone. And I really think more and more I'm beginning to understand that to be able to have that heart that could love everyone in that unequivocal way is not for the benefit of everybody else, it's for my benefit. If my heart were without boundaries, I would be a content person. I would be able to live really fully and at ease. If I had no enemies in the world, then I could feel completely safe. This would be a safe life. I think also we have that same injunction. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'adecha. Every time you go in and out and you touch a mezuzah on a door, reminding yourself of that commandment. But to love with my whole heart and soul and might, I would need to have it available, not tied up in the stories that I've told myself, or this or that, why this is worthy of love, or that not worthy of love, or this I can't forgive, or this I can't allow. To be able to remember what I think about things, to make sound judgments, and still to care. I think the ultimate, maybe the better word would be, than love everyone, is have compassion on everyone. I think it's very close. We use different words, ahava and rachamim, but it's to recognize, it's that love that comes out of the wisdom of knowing that everybody, at least every human being in this world, and probably every other viable being, really is trying to live and to be safe and to be content, not frightened. Everybody wants life, just as I do. And people choose to go through their lives in different ways, but to realize that when they do that, it's for a variety of causes, but really they are motivated by my same desire to live. So I wanted to talk about why this particular practice of paying attention to my mind moment to moment as I go through these days, and all my days, is really the practice of arriving at that wisdom that allows me to remember that so that I can love. I think it's really the central commandment of Judaism, and we could talk a lot, but it didn't seem relevant as I thought about putting together this talk to talk about differences in form. This form or that form makes it Jewish. I think it's the intention that makes it Jewish. And truth to tell, I think it's the intention of every great spiritual lineage. But I do it Jewishly because I'm a Jew. I think that's it. I think it's a tremendously hard commitment to fulfill. Maybe I want to say one more thing before I go on. I want to say about, I think this week's Parsha, we'll read Parsha Shmini on Shabbat, begins with a series of lines about what we are commanded to do, but also the promise that you'll see God. And then actually the words, if you do these commandments as you do as you've been commanded, you'll see the glory of God. And when I looked at that today, I looked it up when I was thinking about giving this talk, and I thought the glory of God is the potential of the human heart to love in that universal way. I really get so excited when I think about that inspires me to practice. And I think it's a very hard thing to accomplish. I think it's entirely countercultural to say we ought to be able to care unequivocally for all beings. We'll even just think about human beings now. First of all, I think we're wired by our DNA to really care for our kin, the people that are part of our family. That actually it's a good thing because that keeps the species alive. Everybody takes care of their own. And part of the taking care of their own is I think it's built into our DNA to be worried about who you might have as an enemy and to protect your young. And there's some way in which I think probably a certain amount of xenophobia is built into our DNA. Uh-oh, this is not my kin, and am I going to be safe here? We're animals, after all. But we're also herd animals, and we like to get together in groups. And we're distinctive as animals because we have memories and the ability to think forward. Who knows if other animals do, but it doesn't seem as if other animals are preoccupied with planning for next week. I don't, that we have a sense of a lifespan, and I have this much time left, or this is my history, and I am formed by my history, and informed by my history. And we have the ability to intuit. We have empathy. I'm not sure that other animals do. They take care of their young instinctively. I live up in Sonoma County, and we have a lot of sheep on the hills around. And it's spring, and there are a lot of baby lambs. And I think to myself, I wonder if that particular sheep standing with her lamb is thinking my lamb is cuter than any other lamb that's here. I'm really lucky that I got this particular lamb. Or I wish I had that other lamb over there. We have comparing minds. We know how we feel. We feel good or not good, or embarrassed or humiliated. There's a whole palette of things that we feel, and we guess how other people will feel in certain situations depending on how we would feel in that situation. Because we don't know how other people would feel, but you guess that they feel something. And normally we guess that they're going to feel what we felt.